day 70. Wow. Of the income stream. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome, everybody. Today, we're talking all about blogging, and we're going to go pretty deep into it, too. Is blogging dead? No, it's not dead. It's not dead yet. And people have been saying it's dying for a long time, but guess what? It's not. So we're going to talk all about it and the ins and outs of it, the things I wish I had done differently, the pros, the cons, the best practices, how to write better, how to write more clearly, how to write more efficiently, how to market your blog, how to grow your blog, all those great things today and more today on day 70 of the income stream. Welcome in.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
Thank you again for joining me this morning. There was a lot of people actually in the waiting room today as we were getting ready to go live, and I'm very excited about that. I get so fired up every time I come in and I see a bunch of conversation happening. I see people tagging my name. You're welcome to do that. I see it in big bright orange on YouTube when I sign in, so I'm just very appreciative of that. Tomorrow, we're going to close off Platform Week, talking specifically about social media in general. So tomorrow, we're going to talk about social media. On Tuesday, we talked about YouTube. Yesterday, we talked all about podcasting. Today, we're talking all about blogging, which will be really fun. And then tomorrow, we're going to go high level social media. How does social media integrate into all these things? And then next week is going to be social media week, where we're going to get into day by day, specifically how to use these different platforms from Twitter to Instagram. Maybe we'll talk about TikTok. I'm not big on TikTok, but I know a lot of people who are flocking over there right now, and it's been pretty fun. And there was an episode of Amy Porterfield's podcast that came out recently, in fact, that has to do with TikTok and growing your business without having to dance or act silly. But I think it'll be a lot of fun. But today, again, like I said, we're talking all about blogging. Just to give you a little preview, all about blogging. Oopsies. Why blogging is important, pros and cons, what to blog about, best practices for writing, best practices for growing, biggest mistakes bloggers make, and making money with your blog. And I think we'll be good to go from there. So hopefully that all makes sense. And like the previous videos this week, I will be saying hello to you really quick and just interacting. If you have any quick questions, I'd love to answer them right now. And then I'm going to go into the presentation where I'll go through each of these things. I'll take perhaps questions along the way. We'll definitely save questions for the end as well. But if you've missed the other days, make sure to do that and check those out too. And if you're catching me for the first time here today, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I'd love for you to do that because you can get access to all these videos and all the notifications. Make sure you hit that bell notification icon as well. And the income stream, which happens every morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. That's the link right up there, patflynn.com/theincomestream. That is the place to go. And we're going to have some fun today. So we got good morning. Hey, we got a super chat from @Reef, which is really amazing. Thank you so much. Good morning, Dr. Tonya. Great to see you here. You are amazing. Let's see. Good morning, Michael. Great to see you here too. Good morning, Scrap Happy. Hello, Andy from the UK. So hyped right now, says Karma. Love you, man. Appreciate you. Just Samson in the house. All upper body workouts for a bit. Talking to Martin. 153 waiting. That's pretty amazing. I love that. Pat just found you this morning. Top guy. Love your genuine content and honesty. Andrew Sykes.
Bruh.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. You're amazing too. Let's keep going here. A few more thank yous here. Remodel Media says, I'm on TikTok. There are a lot of professionals on there. I have a 6K following. That's amazing. I have one video that has about 400,000 views on there, and it was about me dancing, like a tutorial. Shalene Johnson's also doing a good job there too. What's up, Mark? Great to see you too. Let's see. Xenia and Vlad in the house, as always, which is awesome. Question from Anything Cameras. What's your favorite food? I'm feeling random today. Favorite food? Medium heat buffalo wings. Buffalo wings, man, just big weakness of mine. Push past the first 1.5 million steps of 2020 on the 26th. Wow, congratulations, Michael. That's like walking steps, right? That's incredible. Great to see you're still getting some steps in. That's a lot. That's a lot of steps. Caleb from Dominican Republic, what's up? Crafty Dad, we got K-Walk Comedy in the house. What's up? Thank you so much for being here today. Margaret, hi all, what's up? Intermittently watching the chat while I'm on a conference call for work. Hey, all good, April. I'm not going to tell anybody, I promise. Postpreneur, good morning. Courtney, awesome. Again, thank you all for being here. Where are we going today? We are going to London. Big shout out to London. I was in London last year to see my buddy Chris Ducker and also just explore. First time there. It was beautiful. and just, man, love it. Absolutely love it. I want to go back. We were planning to go back, in fact, for Thanksgiving this year, even though they don't celebrate Thanksgiving. We were going to bring Thanksgiving over to the Duckers estate house, and unfortunately, it's probably not going to happen this year. So excited to be here, says Ned TV. Good morning, everyone. Crypto Space Media, great. And by the way, at the end of these streams, make sure to always recommend what we could talk about next. In fact, we have a plan for the next week, but after that, I'm not necessarily sure what we're going to talk about. I think that maybe it's going to be about productivity. I think that's a thing that we could talk about. Perhaps we can go all in on live streaming, which we didn't cover this week on Platform Week. There's so many things that we could talk about. I think maybe interactions, building relationships, building an email list. There's all different kinds of ways we can go. If you have any suggestions, this show is very much built by you. I wouldn't be here if you weren't here. And a lot of these topics and things that we're talking about, I wouldn't talk about if it weren't for you. So again, thank you so much. You are amazing. And let's see here. Any other housekeeping items before we just dive into blogging? Yeah, I wasn't looking at the right camera. I figured that out. Oh, I like this. Let's start off with the Grateful Train from Rap and Combat. We got 206 people. Cool. As you can tell, I'm stalling just a little bit to bring more people in. And we're going to get started probably in about 3 or 4 minutes. But Grateful Train, what are you grateful for today? Today, I'm grateful for my wife, April. She's just been working so hard to keep the kids active, keep the kids learning, not just schoolwork, but teaching them life skills during this time, from laundry to cleaning their own bathrooms and toilets at the ages of 10 and 7. That's really good. I love April for really diving, full on with that. And they don't always want to do it, which is the other thing. But we know that when they're older, hopefully they're going to appreciate having learned these things. I didn't learn how to do laundry till I was 18, till I was in the dorms in the commons area. And I was like, what? How do I, what do we? And then I had to get help from my dorm mate. So yeah, very appreciative of that. That's who I'm grateful for. And I'm grateful for you as well. Okay, so let's get started. There will be some questions being answered along the way. If at any moment in time during the presentation here about blogging, you have a question, type in the chat, question in all caps, and then your question. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them. I'm going to be focused on you, the camera, and delivering value. But every once in a while, I'm going to go in here. And I think that encourages people who watch the replay to go, oh, this actually happened live? Like, I need to show up live. And hopefully they'll stick around. A couple more sips because I don't want to have to pause during it. So let's go. And again, today we're talking all about blogging. It's cool because people know it's about blogging. Yet there's 234 people here right now watching live, which is pretty amazing. I think we all know blogging's not dead, but it's definitely changed over the years. And I'm going to be talking about that. Hopefully no blocked toilet pipes. I have rather long horizontal pipes on my property that get blocked 2 or 3 times per month. That's kind of unfortunate, but hey, we deal. Grateful for every day I wake, indeed. First time here, says Yasmin, great. Glad to see you here from France, another destination that I want to visit at some point in time. Man, just down that coffee. Okay, you guys ready? Let me know in the chat if you're ready, if you're excited. Do a couple stretches, kind of get my head going there, get the neck rolling, and I think we'll be good to go. Also, if any of you happen to be going live or watching other people go live, and they do some really cool, interesting, interactive things with either their camera or just things that they're talking about, I'd love to know, because I am looking to always improve this show and always make it more entertaining, from little like surprise hits like that to just, fun little sound effects like that. Anything I can do to make your life more, just take your mind off of crazy things that are happening right now. I'm all for it. Okay, I'm gonna put this mug away because I'm already done with my coffee. And the coaster too. Whew, okay, let's do this thing. I'm gonna wave my arms a little bit so I'll know where to edit this out, because this part that I just finished is gonna be gone. That's just for you. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, and... Hey everybody, my name is Pat Flynn, and in this video, we're gonna go deep into blogging. How to blog, best practices, common mistakes, things that you need to know about blogging. Today, yep, indeed, it's all about blogging. And in fact, let me give you the rundown. We're gonna talk all about blogging, why blogging is important, pros and cons, what to blog about, best practices for writing, best practices for growing your blog, and biggest mistakes bloggers make, as well as making money with your blog. A lot of things going on, and I'm excited that you're here. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is why blogging. Blogging, I think for a number of years, people have just considered dead because there's a lot of different kinds of platforms out there that have come out since blogging started. Blogging, for those of you who don't know, hopefully you have an idea of what that is, but it's essentially writing. And writing consistently, showing up on a website, whether it's your website or another website, there's blogging platforms out there. I'm not gonna get into the tools and whatnot that you can use to blog right now. However, I do have a recommendation for you. If you're literally starting from scratch and you wanna get your website up and running fast, I actually have a course that can help you do that for free. If you go to not patflynn.com, I need to change that. smartpassiveincome.com/toolkit. Again, smartpassiveincome.com/toolkit is the place to go. You'll see a course called BYOB, Build Your Own Brand. Click on that, it's free. It'll walk you through step-by-step how to build a website and a blog. But a blog specifically is different than just a static website because a blog has a little bit of interactivity often. It has the ability for you to create content more chronologically versus a static website which just might have like a finite amount of information. There's a lot of crossover there, obviously, but I love blogging specifically because it allows for a number of things to happen. Number one, the ability for you to create content and become sort of authoritative in a particular space. Number two, the ability for you, more easily than many of these other platforms especially, to be found with Google. Google, of course, having a way to have people find you through the keywords that you include in your blog posts, inside the title, inside the description. Again, we're gonna go over some of those best practices as well. And blogging, I have just a fond love for because it's where I started online. Back in 2008, I got laid off from an architecture job and I started a blog to help people pass an architectural exam. And on that blog every day, I posted new tips and tricks and charts and things to help people pass that exam. And then eventually, a few months later, I published a book, a study guide, and the blog was the platform by which I launched my business. And that completely changed my life. It helped me stay afloat. In fact, I was making 2.5 times more blogging and selling that product than I was as an architect. Now, the blog itself is not the business idea. The blog is the space for you to create content, to become an authority, to connect with an audience, to build an email list, to then build a business on. And that's kind of the rundown. I think a lot of people assume that, hey, if you create a blog, they will come, right? Feel the dreams. You blog, they're gonna come. And sure, they might come, but if you have a plan in place, it's gonna be much easier for you to do what you need to do to take that audience that you're building and turn it into revenue. And again, it's not about selling and making money. It's about helping people, answering their questions, having them understand that you have some knowledge that they can take and use on their own to make things more convenient, to make things more entertaining, to make things more informative, whatever the case may be. If you come at it from a make money first approach, you're not going to do very well. In fact, I've created several other blogs that did start as a result of just, hey, look, there's a money-making opportunity. Let's see what happens. And then I go on there and I work really hard. And then number one, you get bored of it because you're not really passionate about that topic. Passion is important, but you can't build a business with just passion alone. It has to be passion mixed with the idea of servicing and helping others. And when you combine those two things, then magic can happen. And I did that on a blog. In late 2009, I started another blog called smartpassiveincome.com, which is where most people know me from now. And this blog is where I took notes about how I was building my business and the things I was learning, the mistakes I was making. And I started to really hone in on strategies to help myself be found, to help connect other people to the website, to help showcase and spotlight other bloggers, in which case then they would link to me and the blog would grow. I would collaborate with other people. And this blog has now been around for over 12 years. It has accounted for millions of dollars in earnings, even though it wasn't the purpose at the start. The purpose was just to share, provide value, and through means of affiliate marketing, selling my own products, sponsorships and advertising, and several other ways, I've been able to make a living off of blogging. And again, the blog, not the business model, but the means to make a business model on. So blogging, there's definitely a lot of opportunities. It's definitely not dead. And in fact, compared to other platforms right now, it's still primarily what's gonna help you best for search engine optimization. A lot of YouTubers, a lot of podcasters still have a blog to take advantage of that opportunity for search engine optimization outside of those platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google for podcasting, and outside of YouTube for video. So that's why I love blogging. It's much easier to write for me than it is to, or at least at the start, to get behind a camera or get behind a microphone. In fact, if you were here yesterday, you saw that it took me a year and a half to finally muster up the courage and get over myself to actually create my own podcast episodes. And with a blog, it was just, you can write. And the nice thing is you can kind of hide behind the keyboard a little bit and you can edit and you can fine tune. However, some of us not so good at writing. And was I good at writing at the start? Definitely not. But like with podcasting, like with video, the more you do it, the more you study it, the better you get at it too. So Luke's asking some questions here. By the way, for those of you watching the replay, this is indeed being filmed live right now. So I would invite you to come in live every morning. I have a show called The Income Stream, and you can find that at patflynn.com/The Income Stream every morning, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. And we're going to answer Luke's question here first. And how many blog posts total do you have on the SPI podcast website, or SPI website? How much traffic does it get, and how do you handle SEO? Great questions, and I'll definitely be answering those later, but high level, we have about 1,200 blog posts. And again, this is over the course of 12 years. You don't have to have 1,200 blog posts. In fact, I know a lot of blogs who have even less than 100, and they're posting only once a month, yet they're driving more traffic than me because of the topic, how viral those posts go, how well they're fine-tuned for search engine optimization and whatnot. So for SEO specifically, we tackle high volume keywords, and we try to have and create the best content on the web about that. It's not even just about creating one single post to rank for those pages. It's essentially an entire book on the website. And this is the strategy that we've been attempting to do lately that's been working really well. Creating entire guides that can essentially become the ultimate resource, the number one destination about that topic, from podcasting to affiliate marketing to online courses, things like that. And that's been working really, really well. In terms of web page visitors, I think it's about 500,000 per month right now. I haven't checked in a while because honestly, you can get lost in the numbers for sure. You can definitely get lost in the numbers where every day you're checking for stats and you're taking time away from actually you focusing on the efforts of building relationships, of understanding more about what people want to know about and all those sorts of things. So more on that later, but thank you, Luke, for the question. I appreciate you and everybody here who is live with me today. Next, let's talk about pros and cons, because blogging is a platform. There are some very obvious things that are in its favor and some very obvious things that are definitely working against it. So I'm going to go pro and then con, pro, con, pro, con, pro, con. So pro, we've talked about this already. The idea that written content is still found in Google primarily versus these other content mediums. And if you write great content and people begin to share it, they begin to link to it, there's engagement, people are on the site for a while. These are all factors within SEO that are important for you to rank higher for certain keywords. You can get a lot of traffic. And what's cool about organic traffic, it's free. And especially when you consider how people are getting there. They're searching for answers about certain things, and then you can answer these things and take them further and deeper into your ecosystem, into your email list, into your community. Perhaps one day they'll become super fans, like many people who've become super fans of SPI over the years, having just found me through an article about podcasting or affiliate marketing or what have you. And that's been pretty neat. A con, however, is the fact that there's so many blogs out there and there's a lot of written content. It is definitely the most populated type of content out there. There's over 500 million active blogs and more blogs happening every single day, coming out, starting new, doing the same things that we're all trying to do, rank higher. So Google has a job to do to try and have everything be understood in terms of what's the best content out there. And everybody's fighting for those number one spots. So it can be pretty difficult. There's 500 million active blogs. Consider that versus 30 to 40 million active YouTube channels, far less. And only 1 million podcasts. Yes, even further less, which is why podcasting still, in my eyes, is the best and most exciting platform right now. However, even if you have a podcast, even if you have a YouTube channel, I would still recommend having a website. Perhaps it is set up as a blog, like a WordPress blog. WordPress is a blogging platform for easy customization, for a lot of room to grow. And for podcasters and YouTubers, I still recommend having a website where maybe not necessarily you are quote unquote blogging and writing written content specifically and consistently, but you have written content to support your YouTube videos. You have written content where you have your podcast player embedded in it so that, again, like I said, you could take advantage of search engine optimization. And I found that when you have a blog post, for example, about a particular topic, you have written content there that best displays your knowledge and authority on that topic. You embed a video, you embed a podcast episode into that spot. It also just shows Google you have more authority on that topic. And because Google owns YouTube, there's a lot of play there, cross promotion. It can definitely help you out for sure. For example, on our podcasting page. If you look up how to start a podcast in Google, you'll see me on the first page. That has 6 videos embedded in it. And those are the same videos that are here on YouTube if you look up the same keyword. And so those two things play really well with each other. So another pro of blogging is the ease of use of creation. Now there's a lot of different ways to create, and I'll go over this a little bit, but a big thing that's worked for me lately, especially as I become a busy entrepreneur, is I've been dictating my posts. And this is something that's kind of advanced that's been working really well for us lately because I only have so much time to create podcast episodes, to do live streams, to do videos. So here's a quick tip up front for you. If you have a team member or if you're able to do this or even hire somebody who can help you, I've been dictating my blog posts. So I plan ahead in terms of what those blog posts are going to be about. For example, we're about to do a series about webinars. So one of those posts within that guide, so it's like essentially chapters within a how to create a successful webinar series on the blog that'll be posted. One of those is, best webinar software, right? So instead of typing all that information out, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into Rev on my phone. Rev is a transcription or an audio recorder / transcription service. You don't have to use Rev. You can use even just your memo app, right, to create audio notes. But I record the thing. I have my phone out, and then I just try to structure a blog post out of my words. And because I've been podcasting more and doing YouTube, it's just much more natural for me to do that. So I can bang out 20 minutes, and then what I do is I have that transcribed and I send that to my team to sort of take out and extrapolate and turn into a blog post. The way that you talk, the way that you say things when you're recording is different than how you should write. I would suggest, however, in terms of writing style, write like you talk, but there is a difference between what you say and how things should be written and structured online in a blog post format, but it saves so much time. It used to take me 2 to 3 hours to write a 2,000 word blog post, for example, and that's fast. And now I just spend 20 minutes writing it, dictating it. I send the transcript over to my team. They take it, and then they turn it into a blog post. And it's my words, it's my stories, but it's written and formatted already for me. And then I know it's gonna be a blog post. So that works really well too. Visual Stress Canada says, I dictate when I'm walking, then proof it when I get home, and it's pretty much ready to go. I use Google Docs. Yeah, Google Docs is great too, which I really love. Love your work, says InchBody Fitness. A lot to learn. Thank you. You're welcome. That's really cool. Hey, Pat, what do you suggest to the blogger who gets traffic but not conversions for affiliate products? So we'll get into monetization very soon, I promise. But a couple more cons here with blogging, and then we're gonna move on. So again, we're on pros and cons. So we talked about a lot of pros. I think cons is the lesser ability for you, or the not quite as enhanced ability to build a relationship with people who are there. It takes a little bit more effort using just written words alone to be able to build a really solid relationship with people who happen to get there, right? They've worked hard, you've worked hard to sort of meet up with them on your website, and then you just have the written text. And so you have to do some work to bring your personality out, to give people a reason to want to come back. This is why your email subscription is really important, giving away things like lead magnets and other things that are helpful for them, helping them get small wins so they can see, wow, I'm getting rewarded when I'm here, I need to come back, I need to subscribe, etc. However, unlike a podcast where a person's hearing your voice and getting a feel for your emotion and hearing your stories, because it's a little bit more longer form content that's possible there. And on YouTube, where people are seeing a person's face, where people are getting some idea of who you are as a real person. And although it's edited, still, like, we can create a deep connection here really quickly, much faster versus text. You got to work a little bit harder to build that relationship. So things like your about page on your blog are really important because they help you kind of share more about you and what you could do for them. I think your personality in your content needs to show up very well. A lot of times, my favorite bloggers are the ones that write just like how they talk, like I would imagine it's a conversation between myself and that person. And when I can get a sense of their sense of humor within their content, when I can get a sense of perhaps their sarcasm in their content, not saying that you have to have those elements in your written content, but if I can feel you in your written content, it's going to be more likely for me to connect with you as a person and then come back. And I'm not saying that you have to have all of your own personal pictures up there and you have to show up. You don't even have to describe your name. In fact, I follow a lot of blogs that don't even necessarily have a person behind it, but there's definitely personality. And that's the important part that you have to have show up. So just wanted to share that with you. So let's talk about what to blog about, right? You set up your blog. And again, if you don't know where to go to set it up, I would go to this link here, patflynn.com not that link. That's the link to show up every morning. The link I want you to go to if you want to get a course to help you walk through how to build a website is smartpassiveincome.com/toolkit. However, in terms of what to blog about, let's talk about that really quick. Best practice, in my opinion, is to blog about the things that, number one, you are very knowledgeable about in terms of that topic. Hopefully you have a niche or a market, and remember the riches are in the niches. So the more focused that your audience is, the more likely it is that you are to create content that will really resonate with your audience. In fact, my favorite, let's backtrack from what we want to happen. My favorite compliment when I write a blog post is, I feel like you wrote this just for me. In fact, that's what I recommend you approach with every piece of content. You have to know who your audience is, what they need help with, or what would entertain them, what would inform them, what would educate them, what they want to know about, etc. And then you write it, or you blog, or you podcast, or you shoot a video on it. And then the comment is, wow, I feel like you made this just for me. That's how you know you've nailed what the other person on the other end is going through. So questions are, number one, the easiest thing to blog about. What questions are people asking about? And you can use your blog to answer those questions. And that's a great strategy because guess what people are typing into Google? They're typing questions and keywords related to things that they're curious about, that they're wondering about. And if they can find you, then it's a match made in heaven from there. So questions, where might you find questions? Well, there's a number of different places you can go to find questions. The number one place that I would recommend is, drumroll, to go directly to your audience. If you have an audience already, that's number one. If you've built any sort of audience, utilize them, help them out. That in turn also helps them realize that you're actually paying attention to what they need help with. And although you can't answer every single person's questions, and again, you're answering these questions publicly, you want to find out what the most common questions are. Where one person has a question, a lot of people likely have the same exact question. It also shows, especially when you mention the person who asked the question, it shows that you are paying attention to the community, to those readers who are there, and that feels good, especially for somebody coming in new, knowing there's other people who are already reading this blog, and there's some social proof there, which goes a very long way too. Where else might you find questions? There are questions popping up on social media and forums and groups all the time. So I definitely recommend that you go in and you see what conversations are happening. In fact, one of my favorite strategies is to go into Facebook groups or to forums related to the topic that I'm getting into and asking or going into the search and typing in quotations things like need help with, or I need, or anybody know, right? Those are little phrases that then the search results for that phrase within those groups will pop up and show conversations about people asking questions about those things. That gives me an idea of what things people want to know about too. Another place to go to legit find questions is this website right here that I'm about to go to, and that's going to be answerthepublic.com. Probably my favorite find of 2017. So if you go here, and I'm in the US, so I'm going to click United States, and I want to know about running a marathon. When I hit search, it's going to take a couple seconds. You'll see it working here, but these are legitimate questions that people are typing into Google and search engines and Quora and all these other places about running a marathon. So I'm going to hit data here just so it's a little bit easier. However, this is where, will, what, who, when, can, which, why, how. I'm going to go to data, and you'll see it says, can running a marathon kill you? Can running a marathon delay your period? Can running a marathon make you sick? Can running a marathon affect? Wow, there's a lot of questions about that. So if I have females in my audience and I'm writing about running, that would be a topic I'd want to talk about. I didn't even know that. See, I'm not even in this space, and I'm getting ideas on what to talk about. When running, food when running a marathon, snacks when running a marathon, music when running a marathon. These are all specific and different blog posts that I could write. Who invented running a marathon? Will running a marathon burn muscle? Will running a marathon kill you? That's one that I think would be very highly likely I would write about. What does running a marathon feel like? Right now, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go out and ask 10 people who have run marathons, who are big names in the running space, like Ben Greenfield, and I'm going to ask him and a few others that one question, and I'm going to crowdsource a blog post. Top 10 runners tell brand new marathon runners or first-time marathon runners what running a marathon feels like, right? And then boom, I have a blog post made up of 10 different answers from 10 different people. It's a very valuable blog post. I'm getting connected with other people in the space. And like we talked about yesterday, you can use the strategy of using speakpipe.com to even collect those answers. And you just turn them into blogging format versus podcast episodes or MP3s like we talked about yesterday. So anyway, that's what you can blog about, questions. And you could also see what's popular on other blogs as well. one of my favorite things to do is to go to Google Trends, for example. I'm not going to do it here as an example, but you can go to Google Trends and discover what types of things people are looking for. In fact, I think starting with questions like this can be really great too. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to choose, what is, let's see. Where is that snacks one? Snacks when running a marathon. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to Google. Snacks when running. See, look, it popped up auto. Now I'm going to go here and I'm going to check these posts out because I want to just get a sense. I'm not copying here. Do not copy other people. Make your stuff better than what shows up. If I can make my stuff better than what's showing up number one in Google, eventually Google will catch up. You write great content, Google will eventually catch up, I promise you. It takes time, it takes a little bit of effort and marketing behind it too. However, I'm gonna use this as a starting point. Okay, what is working well here? What can I do even better? Or what can I do differently? So I'm gonna go back to here and just look around a little bit. 17 surprising mid-run snacks to improve your marathon. And remember, like, this headline is great. It's like surprising mid-run snacks. It's not just like what to eat when running a marathon. It's like compelling. I want it. So now I'm getting inspiration for different headlines about other things that I could write about, right? Which is pretty cool. Drinks, okay, and a lot of stuff here. Bananas, baby food, raisins. I don't know if there's like links to Amazon if I want to get these things. Marshmallows, okay, cool, interesting, fantastic, exciting. So now I'm scrolling down. I'm like, okay, CrossFit workouts for marathon running. Does Krav Maga help with marathon running? How long do I start walking before I start running a marathon? Let's see. Does working out affect your marathon running score? I'm just getting ideas based on this website, right? I want to find. I'm not going to spend the time to do it right now, but I want to find most popular stuff, right? That's what I'm looking for because then that gives me a sign. And then what I want to do is I want to inject my own stuff in there. I want to inject my own strategy, my own style. And the other thing about this is very important. So I'm going to go up close. Okay, that's a little too close. Never mind. I'm just going to tell you, if you just regurgitate what other people are saying, it's not going to work. And this is very common. I found when back in 2008, when I started blogging, I came across so many, because I wanted to learn blogging, right? And I came across so many bloggers who were blogging about blogging, and they had no proof to show for it. They were just blogging about what other people were blogging about. So although we're talking about getting inspiration from others, you have to put some of your own experience in there to make it different. And nobody's like you. So that's a huge advantage that a lot of people don't realize. Like, that's how you can stand out. You can put more of yourself into it and your own experiences. So that's number one. But number two, you got to realize that if you also try to create content that pleases everybody, you're not gonna please anybody at all. You have to take some sort of stance. And this is where a lot of entrepreneurs and bloggers especially, we fail. And that is, you're playing it safe. You're playing it average. I'm not saying you have to take a stance where you have to get all political or religious or anything like that. I'm just saying that, what do you stand for? Because how in the world can a person understand why they should follow you if you don't understand yourself what it is that you believe in? And I know it might sound weird that we're talking about this, but in marathon running, let's say, for example, that we have this. Like, what are your beliefs in marathon running? Maybe you are just so emphatic with the idea that you should not have power gel during a marathon. And that's your stance. And you just like are known because like, oh yeah, Pat Flynn, yeah, he teaches running, he's great. But, in fact, he doesn't like power gel and he's why. And I have to back that up, right? I have to back that up. But I would much rather you do that versus, well, you could use power gel. A lot of people say it this way. Here are some blog posts that talk about that. And there's a lot of people on the other side who don't talk about that as well. And yes, you're being expert curator, but where are you becoming the authority? Yes, you can become the authority by blogging and becoming the expert curator. However, what's your stance on something, right? What is your stance on something? I think that's absolutely important, right? Like, this is a great thought from Yoga Love. Be like Gary Vee. Now, those are some very strong words, and I see the crying emoji there, the crying laughing emoji. So I get what that means, but you're kind of right. But you don't have to swear all the time. But he is very much well known for having a certain stance on things, and because of that, it's so much easier for people to recommend and share him. And you either love him or you hate him. And I'm not saying you have to try to get people to love and hate you, but you kind of do, right? You kind of do. And I've been playing it safe for a very long time, and I when I got very honed in on who I was and what I was supposed to do and who I was speaking to, it just became much more clear. That's when I started to go a little bit further into, injecting family life into my blog and how that plays a role, to, not talking about making money through the riches, but actually just having secure and finances for your future, whether it's a side hustle or full-time thing, right? And now I'm starting to take a stance a little bit even further with where I want to go next in the world of education. I think all kids, no, not I think, see, even I'm doing it right now. All kids should learn entrepreneurship. You see the difference there? When I go, hey, I think all kids should learn entrepreneurship, I think those skills as an entrepreneur should be very important and can teach you for life, whether you become an entrepreneur or not. Or, yo, if you're a kid, you need to learn how to be an entrepreneur. Because whether you're going to be an entrepreneur or not, these skills can teach you how to succeed in life, in the workforce, creating your own business. It gives you more options. You need to be an entrepreneur. You need to learn how to be an entrepreneur. You see the difference there? It's just that much more authoritative. So where are you authoritative? If you have a blog already, have you been playing it safe? Have you been sort of on that line in between one certain stance and another certain stance, right? So I think that's absolutely important. And most important, says Janice, be yourself, more original and genuine. I agree with that as well. So anyway, those are some things you can blog about. Another thing you can blog about is just over time, analytics. You got to pay attention to your analytics. I'm not saying you need to go in there every day. In fact, that can be a big trap. However, I like to go in once a week to just go, okay, what is picking up lately on all my platforms? On YouTube, I do this a lot. On podcasting, where are the trends? What are the most popular episodes? What are the most popular episodes from the past that are coming about? What are the most popular episodes or blog posts that have been published this month? Where's the traffic going? Because then I can get signals with real data behind it to go, wow, okay, this is either surprising or it's not going as expected, or hey, this is picking up now. Maybe I should insert some blog posts or talk about this more on social media because the audience seems to like it. Maybe I'll send an email out and have people, link to that blog post in a email so that people who didn't see it yet can find it, and I can just share more information about it. Those kinds of things are really cool, and I think that we can do that. Let's see. You're singing my jam, Pat Flynn. Thank you so much. I love that. Yo, says Francis, great to see you here. Without a doubt, should be required in high school. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Dude, that was so eye-opening for me. Thank you, Xenia and Vlada. I wish I had learned that at school. Great advice as ever, Pat. Great. Fantastic. So take a stance. What do you stand for? Like, playing it safe, you're going to get safe results. And in fact, results aren't going to come when you just play it safe. So let's continue here. Let's talk about the actual mechanics of writing a blog post. Now, let's say that you didn't have the team or don't have the time to go through the dictation strategy that we talked about earlier. So we got that one out of the way. That is what I do now. I dictate a blog post, I send it to my team, they take it, mash it up, make it better. I see it, and then I go, yeah, I approve, or hey, this doesn't sound like me, or hey, let's add something here. I see that now that it's formatted, that there's a piece missing. So I always try to put myself in the shoes of those reading, but that goes a very long way, and that helps a lot. That helps with productivity. However, for the first 6 years of my blog, since 2008, I wrote every single blog post myself. I formatted it myself. I found images to put it in it myself. And so let's talk about writing and the mechanics of writing a blog post. So let's go into that. So for me, the easiest thing to do is to determine what I want to write about. We've talked about what to write about, but knowing and honing in on what those things are makes everything else easier. Because the last thing I want you to do, and this is honestly for all types of content creators, even social media, is to go, okay, I just hit publish on this thing. Now I got to figure out what to do next. Or I need to now come up with an idea for the next one. And that's where you start to get into what's called the content hamster wheel. It's not good. And yes, you're going to be excited. You have this honeymoon period when you're starting a blog. It's all exciting. You've been focusing on the blog and the theme. By the way, the design of your website is not the most important thing. It's the content that you create on it. Need proof? You need proof? Fine. I'm not just like typing an email right now. I want to show you the history of themes. We need to discuss this first because I think too many people who are blogging, especially starting, go, I need to make my website perfect before I start writing. I need to, have the theme look great, and I need to have all these things moved over here. And that can be a chore. And thankfully, there's a lot of tools and a lot of resources and libraries of different skins and themes for your website, and even tools like Wix and Squarespace that can just make it easy for you to make it look good now versus how it was back in the day. But I just want to show you what the history of themes were like for Smart Passive Income. It's definitely changed over the years. And just to prove to you that it's about the writing, it's about the content, right? Not necessarily about what the website looked like. What the website looks like supports the writing. However, it's the fun thing to do. It's the fun thing to create a logo. It's the fun thing to get a domain and build your website. You need to start writing, right? You need to start publishing your content. So here are the history of themes for SPI, the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is what it was like at first. That right there. What is that? Why is there even a photo of me in a snowboarding outfit? I live in Southern California. That has nothing to do with me. By the way, if you're going to use an image, think really upfront. Okay, how does this image best represent what I'm trying to offer here? In this space, it's an about me image. It was the last image I took on my phone at the time. And I'm like, okay, well, what represents me? You know, Southern California, beaches. Like I want to put myself there. Later, I ended up putting a picture of myself and my son because that was what was most important to me. Eventually, I realized that. But this was a theme called Thesis that just came out, and literally it was just out of the box, and I was like, I'm going to start writing and launch this thing. 0 comments, 0 comments, 0 comments. This is the first stuff that you saw on the blog. Then a few moments later, I created this theme, and I built this out myself. I started to learn CSS and design. I think I designed this in Dreamweaver. You all remember Dreamweaver? That was first. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to be clever, and I'm going to put a light bulb where the O is in blog because I think that's going to be really great. But you'll notice here, although the design is a little bit better, it's a little bit more colorful, definitely pulled from ProBlogger in terms of just the style. In fact, I worked so hard on this little RSS feed area at the top right, that took about 8 hours to do. This is probably one of the downfalls of entrepreneurship, feeling like you have to do everything yourself up front. And I'm glad I did it. However, I wasted so much time. I could have just gotten a theme or hired somebody and saved so much more time. And realizing now that time is money, well, I could have better invested my time elsewhere. Anyway, it's about the content. And this is when I first started sharing how much money I was making online from the other business I had. And again, I had proof. I wasn't just regurgitating other people's stuff. I had a stance and I had proof that what I was teaching actually worked from my own experience. So there was no way that I could copy somebody else. In fact, I wasn't even looking at anybody else's stuff. I was just sharing stuff that I knew based on my own experience. And that weighed heavily in people's decision to go, oh, this person's different. Or, whoa, this person's great. I want to come back for more. And this was the first month that I launched my ebook. As you can see, October's not even done yet. October 1 to October 19. This is a report from eJunkie, which sold my ebook. 169 items sold, 3,653. This was about the same amount of money I was making per month as an architect at the time. Then I shared PPC advertising, and then you could buy these little ads. I mean, this is what the website looked like. A little bit better, but you could see I started to get some comments. And I was getting comments and people to come over to the website because I was going to their website and commenting and asking people, in fact, to come over and leave some feedback, asking for help. Then I hired a designer later that year. And as you can see, this is where we're starting to get the little license plate theme, which came out. And this was somebody who I hired on elance.com, which is now Upwork, for about $250. And it's a little crowded, but hey, it started to move things around. I don't know what the deal is with this image up in the upper right-hand corner. It's like this like Steve Jobs, like, not cool. I mean, that's like, what am I trying to do there? That's the authoritative stance, but like I look back and I cringe a little bit. But hey, you post stuff up, you see it, you see how people react, and then you make changes, right? So then I made the change here. You could see to this theme, which actually a lot of people didn't like. You'll actually see some comments I included here from people who followed me at this time, and they were like, sorry man, the old design's much better. It doesn't always improve. You'll learn, and guess where you learn from best? Your audience. And then I also said, hey, look what happened. I got greedy, right? I started to put AdSense ads on the sidebar, and in the upper right-hand corner, you can see there's a thing there. I was like, ooh, I can make more money by putting ads on here. I have some space. Yeah, but it removed from the experience, and that wasn't good. Then I scroll down a little bit, and hey, here's a design that came out. There's me and my boy, just a little child of mine, and a little bit more clean. This is where like a lot of things started to happen. Built my email list for the first time, finally. And then scroll down a little bit, and then there was this design taken a little bit better. And then I think that's it here. Yeah, because I had a couple more designs since then, and this was written when I came out with another redesign. So anyway, it was an iterative process, something that took some time to learn what worked best. But you know what helped me more than anything? It was the written content, creating things that were actually helpful for people. So best practices for writing. Number 1, know what you want to write about ahead of time. Plan your blog posts ahead of schedule. So that way, you know, after you finish one, you already know what the next one is. And try to develop a system for you to write in. or with. So for me, I have a spreadsheet where I can go and see what the blog posts are about ahead of time. I actually have them on a calendar and where they are. In fact, that's just done through Google. In fact, I can show you an example of this right now, I believe. So if I go to, this is essentially what it looks like. This is a pipeline from 2018 to 2020. And you'll see here that there's Monday blog post. And if you scroll to the right, there's the podcast episode. So this was a couple years ago, but this is what it's like. So I have one post a week, and I don't do one post a week anymore, but I do have the posts laid out and when they're going to get scheduled, what they're going to be about. I try to name them ahead of time. That's a specific brain space. That's different than the brain space of actually creating and writing. It's the planning brain, right? So let's spend some time planning up front. Now, I get about a month or two ahead, but even that alone can help allow for a lot of breathing room and just understanding. And even though you're not writing them now, you're actually thinking about things ahead of time. So when you sit down to write, things can go and work very well. So what I do is I take these individual blog posts and I create a separate Google Doc for each. In fact, now my team does this. You create a separate Google Doc for each. And when you come up with ideas, you pop them in there at the top. No order, just as things come out, just brain dump. I might be thinking about something in the shower. I go into Google Docs about that thing, which might be a month later, and I just pop some ideas in there. So that way, when it comes time for me to write this 2 weeks before the post comes out, then I will already have a starting point and already some ideas laid out there for me. Even some articles that perhaps I found that I want to relate to that and link to later. It's all up there up top, and then I start writing, or in this case, dictating now. And then when I dictate, I just copy and paste the transcript, pop it in that Google Doc. My team has access to it and can finalize it from there, or I can write it myself. And when I'm writing, the number one thing I want to do, let's imagine an individual blog post. I want to start with the end in mind. What is the transformation I want my audience to go through after reading this piece of content? I want them to finish there, so that by the time they finish this, they go, okay, I got what I need or what I promised, right? I often think about the title first, so that guides me, but I think about the end too. Then I worry about the middle part, the main part, the meat of the content. And I backtrack from that end. I want to know where I want them to go. And then I consider, what are the stories I want to tell? What are the steps might I share that I need to get there? What are the case studies that I can find that support this? Where are the examples? Where are the success stories from my students that I could pop in there and add to support that content? All the things in the middle support the hook and the title in the beginning to eventually get people to the end. So that's how I craft a blog post. I write, or podcast episode or course or book or anything. I start with the end in mind. I backtrack and reverse engineer. What are the steps, tools, case studies, stories that I can tell to help support that? And then I, one by one, will then create those things. And eventually this thing starts to stack up and get to where it needs to be. Now, in terms of best practices for writing as well, we want to make sure that we also don't just write an entire essay's worth of stuff, meaning it's just one giant long piece of paragraph or writing without any sort of way to structure or format that post. And I think that's really important. You have to understand that people will not necessarily read every single word on the page. You have to break down, and this is why I like that approach of reverse engineering the different points, because each of those different points should have each of their own specific subheadlines in an H2 or H3 format, with keywords in them as well to denote that next section so that people can scan through, much like a newspaper, right? A newspaper, imagine a newspaper with literally no headlines. It would just be a sea of words, which would be very overwhelming, hurts the eye, and likely a person's not gonna go and get it. However, it's the headlines that sell the post, because not just the title, but it's inside that post itself. How can you keep people going? How can you keep people excited? How can you sort of sell the next area in the headline, whether it's just straight up telling people what that headline or what that next section is going to be about, or some sort of teaser to keep people reading through, right? Hopefully this makes sense. So readability affects SEO, as Luke says, which is super important, right? Especially nowadays. It's a person's experience on your website, the time on the website, the interactivity on the website that helps determine SEO and search engine optimization, higher rankings, amongst other things, of course. But when you think about it, the longer that you can keep people on a website, the more likely they are to share it, the more likely they are to come back, the more likely they are to go further and deeper into your website. So this is absolutely key here. So Francis says, what is H2 and H3 format? So what I mean is, in terms of the coding of your website, this is a little bit more advanced, but any good theme will help you be able to do this really quickly. The title of your blog post is H1. That is the biggest in terms of size, normally, font, and it's the headline. But when it's H3 or when it's H1, it's tagged in code as H1, and that shows Google. That's what Google looks for to know, like, what's the title of this post. and what to display in search, and what should this rank for example. H2 and H3 are sort of sub-headlines, and that's a coding for that. And those are really important too, because Google looks at those as well for the different parts or components of the website as well. It's just like code for different parts of the website. Cool, good stuff. That makes very good sense, says Share the Focused Market. Fantastic. And yes, readability, formatting, really, really important. Find other blog posts, and when you go through them, read them and see what you like about them, what you don't like about them. That helps very well. And then finally, creating a space to write, having a moment in time blocked out to write. Trying to write a blog post with 15 minutes here, 20 minutes here, that's going to be really difficult. Honoring a time block that you set for yourself goes a very, very long way. And that's what I'd recommend doing. Have a certain day of the week where it's just like writing day, and you know what you're writing ahead of time. You sit down, you get the work done, and I don't know, and I don't care how long it is, just have that time in your calendar for you to actually do that. Next, best practices for growing and scaling up your blog. Number one, try to remain consistent. That's going to be really important. That on top of obviously writing stuff that's going to be helpful to your audience. Number two, try to get people to engage with it in some way, shape, or form, to share it, to pin it, to tweet it out. There's a lot of tools out there like Share This and several others that allow you to easily add some plugins on your website to be able to have people easily share it or pin it if there's any images or things like that. That's another tip for writing, by the way, is to help break up the content. You can add images. Make sure the images support the point that you're making. Don't just add random images, because then it kind of detracts and wastes time. Also, trying to include an image pretty up high on the page. Not the first thing people see, but after the first paragraph goes a long way too, because if you hook them, then you have an image that supports that. That's great. And then guess what's happening? People are scrolling down further on the page, and the further down they scroll down the page, the more likely they are to commit to going all the way through. So that's just a little tip that I've learned over time as well. But best practices for growing. Again, let's talk about marketing your blog. Honestly, the number one thing that has grown my blog more than anything is the relationships that I built with other bloggers. This is how I grew at the start. I would reference other bloggers and comment about them and spotlight them on these blog posts, create roundup posts, and really talk them up and make them look good. And that gives me a good way to start a conversation with them, in which case we can build a relationship, and then perhaps I can get linked to or featured on their website or podcast as well. And that goes a very long way. Backlinks are really important. And what a backlink is, and this is for SEO purposes, is a link from somewhere else to your stuff. So you need to make your stuff linkable, noteworthy, worth linking to. This is how Green Exam Academy, my first website about helping people pass an architecture exam, became so successful, because I was writing about stuff that people were sharing everywhere, because nobody was writing about this exam. All the tips about this exam were in books that were hundreds of dollars. And I just took my own experience and I shared what I learned, and people were sharing it in forums and groups on their own websites to help people pass this architectural exam. And then Google goes, hey, a lot of people are linking to the site. It must be good. Let's rank it higher. And again, this takes time, but relationships go a very long way. I would much rather spend some time building a relationship and getting a very strong recommendation and a backlink on a person's website eventually, versus like trying to beg and ask and go to different directories to try and force that. Or, I know a lot of people who used to create private link networks where they would actually buy or create other blogs to purposefully link back to their blog to give it more juice. In fact, I used to do that because that was a practice that was actually done. And you kind of had to do that to compete, unfortunately. Now, those things are getting penalized. Thankfully, Google's finally figured out what's been going on, so that's good. And another great practice for growing is to make sure you give people a reason to keep coming back, right? And this is why growing your email list, I feel, is a very important component of growing your blog in general. When you build that email list, you give people a way to communicate with you and a way for you to communicate with them. You can link to new blog posts. You can have the ability to ask them what they need help with. You can ask them questions so that you can answer them on the blog. You can start featuring them. You can start communicating with them. I think an email list is a very underrated way to grow your blog, in addition to just growing your business, right? But working with somebody else or having collaborations go a very, very long way. And of course, keyword research and Google are going to be your best friend as well. And that takes time. A lot of people expect that when they write a blog post, even though it's the best blog post and you've done the research, you've written it really well, it's well formatted, it takes time, right? It takes time. And if you have these things like relationships and community and engagement to back it up, it can go a very long way. Now, obviously, using social media can be important to help drive more traffic back to your blog. And we're going to be talking about social media sort of from a high level tomorrow. So make sure you come back. And if you're watching the replay, you can look out for that in the videos or the recommended videos here or in my channel. But yeah, those are the best practices for growing for sure. And then obviously paying attention to what is working, doing more of that, doing less of what is not working. A lot of times we assume that certain things are going to help grow the website, and it doesn't. And we're going to see things that we wouldn't even consider of growing the website that do, and do more of that for sure. Okay. Next, and finally, let's talk about making money with your blog. There's a lot of different ways to make money from your blog. This is where we'll finish up. And, this is a big topic. Obviously, we'll probably come back to this in the future. And I have a lot of other tips, especially, for example, how to write your about page and other things here on the YouTube channel already. But let me know in the chat if you've been getting a lot of value here today. And also let me know while I go over this tip, what is your number one best tip that you've learned today that is likely the most helpful? Thank you to the 333 people, 303. A lot of people in today. A lot of people in today. I don't know. I'm just like really excited. Anyway, let's talk about making money with your blog. So for me, the first way that I made money with my blog was through advertising. I put a code on my website from Google AdSense that allowed me to essentially share advertising through the AdSense platform on my website. And I just stuck that on my architecture website because I heard about this thing. And I woke up the next morning and I had my very first $1.18 made online. Yeah, I made a whole $1.18. And guess what? It was the most incredible feeling in the world. I had made money on the internet. And although I could find that money in the couch cushions in my house or at the bottom of my car, to know it was done was very, very encouraging, right? So I would hopefully help encourage you to just try to get that first dollar. Start small to go big. If you are having the ideas of starting and selling your own products, get one person, one result first to give yourself that confidence and to know how to best build this thing that you're going to build, right? Help a person get through something first. For me, I spent about 2.5 months creating an ebook study guide to help people pass this exam. And it was pretty complicated. And in fact, if I could go back, I would likely start by just trying to help people one-on-one first and going from there, because that would have taught me a lot about what works and what doesn't. It also teaches you what you like and what you don't like. Probably the easiest way to make money from your blog, in my opinion, would be outside of advertising and sponsorships, which is literally just putting code on, and you have to be careful about doing that because it can add a lot of noise on your website. Ad Thrive, I think, is the platform that a lot of people are using right now. AdSense only goes so far. Ad Thrive, you have to have a blog with a certain amount of traffic in order to get access to that. But when you do, I mean, it's literally you get paid per impression for just the traffic that comes to your website, and it can add up for sure. I have a lot of students of mine who literally are making thousands of dollars a month with that. But I would say affiliate marketing is probably going to be your best bet for number one way to grow your income, because you can just start talking about your experience with these products and you can make a commission on those sales. And we'll talk about monetization a little bit later. I have a lot of tools and recommendations for affiliate marketing and creating your own products and such, but that's definitely what I would recommend. And thank you for all the thumbs up, by the way, today. We have talked about a lot, but the most important thing when it comes to making money with your blog is how can you best serve your audience? It always starts from there. Your earnings are a byproduct of how well you serve your audience. Give me a thumbs up if you agree. Your earnings are a byproduct of how well you serve your audience. Glitch in the matrix, sorry. Yes. So knowing what they need help with, having an email list to help support that, learning more about what they need help with, the language that they use as well is going to be really important. And then offering them products, whether they're your own products or somebody else's products, to help them through something. You can actually get thanked for recommending somebody else's product because you are curating. You're helping them cut through the noise and finding that thing in a more convenient manner. So hey, Team Flynn, you're amazing today. We talked about a lot. We're going to go deeper into monetization, but I just wanted to teach you some big lessons there for sure. And finally, remember that your blog is not the business model. Your blog is the mechanism by which you can build an audience to have a business model on top of. And it could be a source of traffic. It could be a source of revenue. But your business model should be helping and serving other people in some way, shape, or form. And if you like advertising and sponsorships, well, then you got to get a load of people. You can make money even with a very small audience in these other ways like I talked about. So anyway, Team Flynn, you're amazing. Thank you so much for today. We talked a lot about blogging. Hook me up with a thumbs up if you haven't already. And also make sure to hit subscribe to the channel if you haven't already too. I think this video is going to be very powerful, and it's something that I might even inject into my course at BYOB. If you go to smartpassiveincome.com/BYOB, in fact, you can just get direct access for free to my course to help you actually build the website, to find a theme, to decorate it in the way that you need to be able to house your content in a way that you'll be confident with, And again, I'm just really excited about your future. So again, thank you today. I appreciate you. No prizes, no gift, no like goal today. I wanted to make sure I provided value. If you're watching the replay again, make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, thank you. Apologize, I wasn't able to get to so many questions, but we had a lot to cover, and I promise we'll open it up for more questions very soon. Come back tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, patflynn.com/the income stream. Thanks so much, take care, and as I always say, Team Flynn for the win. Peace out. And yes, yesterday I did forget to close the live stream. Some of you caught that. Hopefully it works today.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
Great job today, y'all. I appreciate you. Stay safe. Day 70, how crazy is that? Only about a month away till day 100. We're gonna do something special for that. Let me know what you think I could do to improve the stream. Give me some recommendations for good streamers too. I'm always looking to improve your experience here. Peace out, thanks so much, and... Bruh.